Good morning, everybody. You ever just have a day where you want your caffeine cold in the morning? Am I the only one? But, confession, I've already had a early cup of tea because I got up really early this morning. But I need a little caffeine because we are heading to a German POW camp located here in Texas. This is from World War II, where Allies held German soldiers that were captured during the African campaign. So it was a very early part of the war, so a lot of these German soldiers spent a majority of the war sitting in a POW camp here in Texas. Now the camp was decommissioned a long time ago, but it was turned into a museum and remodeled back to some of its original layout. We're going to go check it out. It'll be interesting with everything happening in the world. We'll see what kind of limits and rules they have. But I'm going to try to film what I can, show you what I can. Let's go hit the road and explore. But if you're new here, do me a favor. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up. It really does help us because it lets YouTube know you enjoy what we do here. All right, let's go explore. So this is a recreation of one of the barracks that was held German POW prisoners. Now, after World War II, this particular installation was shut down. A lot of the barracks were actually sold and hauled all over the place and used for buildings around Texas and other areas. The ones that stayed were kind of shoddily made, quickly built, and over time, with no one taking care of them, fell down. You can see a lot of the concrete pads over here where they used to be, but they've over time come with the help of Texas A&M and rebuilt a lot of this. Have a little look at what a guard tower here would have looked like back in the day. Now, a lot of this has been dug up and rebuilt and recreated. It's really cool. But unfortunately, it's only a fraction of the size of what it used to be. It is kind of cool to see the history here. One of the things I thought was interesting is while they had uniforms for the German POWs, a lot of the uniforms were insufficient. Each prisoner got 8 uniforms, 8 outfits to wear. So without enough of them to go around, they actually dug into U.S. surplus Army uniforms from World War I and gave them old World War I U.S. Army uniforms with POW spray painted on them. In World War II, we had a very different looking uniform that we wore compared to World War I, which allowed them to stand out. So let's jump in there and take a look at the building and some of the different things. Unfortunately, there is a fire alarm that's going off nonstop, so I'm just going to record a voiceover for this. We can check out some of the cool things that are in there. So that building I showed you earlier was a recreation of what the buildings look like here at the camp. Now, these are the actual concrete pads that they sat on here, and just some of them. Now, a little bit more about this camp. 5,000 POWs were kept here, or almost 5,000 it said. And most of them were Germans, but there were actually some Japanese also that came here in 1945, right at the end of the war, but not many. According to the report, this camp was shut down in 1946 in January, and by that time, all the POWs had been sent home. Now, the camp itself is pretty basic. A lot of buildings sat right on top of each other. You see there's a little stage over here where it looks like they would have had announcements and different formations. But the German POWs would actually come here, stay at night, but during the day, they would be able to go out and work. Now, according to the rules that the countries honored, they could not, apologize about the news, they couldn't, or the noise, they could not work in war-related industries, so they couldn't make arms and do that kind of stuff, but they could work in non-war-related industries. A lot of them worked in the farms around this area to earn a little bit of money. They were giving tickets where they could go and buy stuff from a little store. Based on if they were working out there, they would earn more money to be able to buy stuff on top of their, standard clothing, on standard food rations, and more. Now, they were also able to do a lot of things. Now, we talked and showed you some in there where they were able to go to school, learn new things. They were able to explore the area, or here in post, work out. They were also a theater where a band, plays, and more were performed by the prisoners. The MPs here actually formed a football team too, and they played football games here on this post and more to enjoy their time here. So the camp was pretty well done. Of course, full medical, full help there if the soldiers needed it at all. One interesting story is the POWs ran the post office. So as part of our treaties where prisoners got the ability to send mail back home and receive mail. At some point, the German POWs took over the post office here, and they helped out with the running of the camp in many different ways. Well, what happened is some extremist German soldiers were able to use that to intimidate German soldiers here from cooperating with the Allies, and even intimidated families back in Germany, apparently, through the mail that wasn't being properly managed. Now, that wasn't just the mail for this particular camp. For all German POW camps, the mail came to this post and then went over to Germany from here. Very interesting to see how that worked out. But later on, the Americans realized that the people running the post office may not have been the best characters in the world, so that they shut it down and they took over control again of the POW camp as mail system, not just for here, but for all German POWs. This camp is actually quite massive. 5,000 prisoners were here, crammed in these buildings. This is probably a mess hall one or some other type of administrative building that I'm standing on here back in the day. It's kind of amazing that this concrete's even holding up over all this time, because the camp has not officially been in use since 1946. Some of these buildings were shipped off. People purchased them and used them in different areas. Most of them just, as you can see, crumbled and fell away. So really cool camp. They are working to build up this museum. The lady in there was very nice. They're hoping to build another building like the one you saw earlier, and to hold more exhibits and more information about the camp and German POWs. So I highly recommend you check it out. I'll put a link to it down in the show notes down below. All right, I'm back in the hotel room. A few quick things I wanted to mention here. That's a really cool place. If you ever find yourself in the greater Texas area, close to College Station where Texas A&M is, Waco, Temple, even Austin, it's not that far away from. Highly recommend you take the time to travel out there. It's free. They take donations. I did leave a nice donation for them, and I'll encourage you to do it. Very excited. It's kind of a fairly newer place. They're working hard to expand and grow it. There are some trails that didn't really go down just to walk the facilities and more, but I would recommend you go there, check it out. Few hours can easily get you through there. There is a tour that's about an hour. I didn't do it. Kind of like to go at my own pace with these kind of things, but if you want a full tour for about an hour, they'll do that. They have a rotating section in the back with different displays, some newspaper clippings, and more. So if you like that, check it out. If you're new here, do me a big favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up. It really does help us, because it lets YouTube know you enjoy what we do here. Until next time, take care, everybody.